Here, we are now going to talk about statistics because as soon as the objectives have been laid out, meaning the to-dos, then the next step is to collect the data, and that's where statistics begins. Here we have two definitions for statistics. As it says, statistics is now needed to facilitate the manipulation of the data collected on each variable. Definition 1 of statistics. Statistics can be defined as first the collection, then after the data has been collected, it has to be organized, meaning it has to be presented using tables. Then after that, it has to be represented. That means presented again using diagrams and charts. And then it has to be numerically analyzed. That is the data we are talking about. Collection of data, organization, presentation of data, representation of data to make informed decisions. Decisions meaning with regards to the hypothesis that was stipulated, to validate it, its authenticity, so that the research question can be answered empirically in the conclusion. So that's viewing statistics as a process. Now, there's a second definition for the word statistics. It can be called numerical values calculated by using a sample. So in the numerical analysis, you'll be calculating values like the mean, the median, the mode, variance, standard deviation, etc. These numbers, if they were calculated using a sample, they in turn are called statistics. So whilst doing statistics, you will be calculating statistics. Okay, while performing statistics on a sample, you'll be calculating statistics in the numerical analysis part. It goes on to say these values are generally called descriptive measures because they are used to describe the data set. When a sample is used, they are called sample statistics. When a population is used, they are called population parameters. So examples, as I mentioned before, are mean, median, mode, variance, standard deviation, correlation, etc. Now, you can recall we talked about the objectives, which are linked to the research questions and also the hypothesis. But there were two research questions, qualitative research questions, which we did not establish the objectives for, because normally qualitative research questions don't require hypotheses. So here they are. Number 5. What are the factors that are significantly influencing the learning of mathematics? So factors is a qualitative variable, so that doesn't really require hypothesis. So we go straight to the objectives. So for example, to determine the factors that are significantly influencing the learning of mathematics. So that would be an appropriate objective for that research question. And research question number 6, which major is predominantly male selected? Okay, so major is a qualitative variable, basically words. So it doesn't really require a hypothesis or null and alternative. No, all right. It's just asking for a major. So it doesn't ask for a figure, okay, or a relationship, etc. So this research question doesn't require rigorous data analysis, no calculation of statistics. So you go straight to the objective. For example, for this research question, which major is predominantly male selected? So the objective here is to establish a major that is predominantly male selected. Please bear in mind or take note that, as you can see, the objectives normally begin with verbs: to determine, to establish, to analyze, etc. So the next step now is to collect the data. So you have what you call data collection methods. It says some common data collection methods are questionnaire, surveys, interviews, observations, focus groups, experiments, and also secondary data analysis. So the data collected through these methods can then be analyzed and used to support or refute research hypotheses so that the research question can be answered empirically through the use of data. And as we have seen before, data collection is the first step in the process of statistics. So when we're talking about the topic, the research question, the hypotheses, and the objectives, statistics is not there yet. This does not pertain to statistics. That's normally come under the portfolio of research methods. Okay. Statistics is now incorporated into that research methods, beginning with the data collection. That's where statistics begins. That's the first process of statistics. So now we are into statistics, data collection. We'll put a little emphasis on questionnaire for this particular course. But as you can see, there are other methods for collecting data. The questionnaire is considered the data collection tool, okay? One of the data collection tools. It contains the simple questions. Remember, you've got research questions, which require the collection of data to be answered empirically. And you've got simple questions. So in the questionnaire, you have the simplest questions that are needed to ask the respondents for that data for that particular variable. So for example, if you have the variable age, you want to find what is the average age. What is the average age? That's a research question because to find the average, you need to collect data. Then in your questionnaire, you have a simple question. What is your age? Okay. And then you'll be collecting ages of the population, take a sample, and then you'll calculate the average. And that calculation will be a statistic because you have collected a sample to calculate it. So it contains the simple questions needed to ask the respondents for the data. The number of questions is closely influenced by the same number of variables identified in the research questions. So to know what questions come in the questionnaire, you have to go back to your variables that you have identified in the research questions, which also appear in the hypotheses, which also appear in the objectives. Okay. And then these you will use to list how many questions you are required or that you are needed in the questionnaire. So in the questionnaire, you would have questions like, what is your gender? Okay, because you've got a research question that involves gender. What is your mathematics score? So right away, the respondent will answer you immediately. What is the distance of your home from college? Because you've got a research question that deals with distance and mathematics score, so you need data on that, on those two variables. What is your major? Major appeared in your research question, so you need data on that so that you can perform your analysis and to test your hypothesis. These are factors that are significantly influencing your learning of mathematics. So the respondent will list the factors because you have a research question. You know what are the factors that influence the learning of mathematics? So you, apart from, doing a Google search and so forth, you can also ask respondents so that you can collect data on that particular variable to answer that research question using data, empirically answering research questions. So take note that to formulate your questions in your questionnaire, you need to identify the variables in the research question. This is a qualitative variable, gender. So you're going to get a qualitative data, words, quantitative variable. So you're going to get quantitative data, numbers, quantitative variables, distance is quantitative, you're going to get a number. Major is qualitative. So you're going to get a word, natural sciences or social sciences. Factors, qualitative variable, you're going to get qualitative data. So just take note, formulate your questions. In your questionnaire, you have to identify your variables in your research questions. And you don't need any more questions in the questionnaire because does it pertain to a particular research question that you are trying to answer empirically? If not, then this question is not really required. So that's why I say the research code, the questions, the simple questions in the questionnaire are intrinsically linked or influenced by the variables in your research question.